Hello out there. We're on the air. Early. This one's for, what the hell is that? This one's for all my, whoa. Careful. Don't need that cord messing with the bit axe here. All right, is anybody here? I don't know. It's going to be a bit of a different episode today, folks, but we would like to say welcome, first and foremost. YouTube, zap.stream. We're half an hour earlier than usual. This is going to be a short show today. Short show. I don't know how short, but very much shorter than usual. I almost didn't do a show today. I thought I would just take the day off. We got to hit the road here in about half an hour. But I'm showered. Got to eat a little bit of food, and then we're hitting the road. But we'll be back tomorrow. Just a bit of a day thing today. But I wanted to squeeze a video in this morning. So without wasting any time, welcome to another episode of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. This is actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. We got a lot of great things happening here on the channel, in this community, and that's kind of what I wanted to highlight a little bit today. I'm going to share a few things here quickly, and then we're going to just chat for a while. We usually do our Q&A on Wednesdays, which is today, our private Q&A for the Bitcoin Journeyman and for the Living the Future community. But we're actually going to do that tomorrow. So I'm going to be, tomorrow's going to be a good show, and maybe I'll talk about that right now. So I've had a couple people on YouTube and on from the community, Living the Future, asking about cold card tutorials. So instead of spending like a whole day trying to do a tutorial when there's already a bunch of really good ones online already, I think I'm just going to focus tomorrow's private Q&A towards the cold card. So I'm going to go kind of a higher level tutorial on it, I guess you'd say, in terms of things that I picked up or I needed to look further into apart from what I found online. So that's going to be one part. And then I'm going to show a few relevant and very cool features that you can do with the cold card. So I think it's going to be highly relevant for anybody out there who either has a cold card and they're already got it set up. If they have a cold card and they haven't got it set up yet, I think this is going to be very beneficial to them, which I know that there are a couple people who reached out to me asking to do a tutorial. And for people who are considering getting a cold card. I don't know where you're storing your Bitcoin right now, but if it's not in a cold card, I think you're doing things wrong. There are a few other good options out there, but there's nothing like cold card. Just like Bitcoin, there's no second best. There's no second best to the cold card. And so we're going to go through just like a real basic overview of what's happening there. I think it's important to understand what's happening there because then you can kind of tailor the rest of your setup around that. And when you don't really understand what's happening there, I think you get confused with, needing secondary device, how to set up another wallet, keeping track of your KYC Bitcoin versus non-KYC Bitcoin, labeling things and how important that is. The utxo tab on Sparrow that ties into the cold card. I think it's going to be really good. So that's tomorrow, and that's going to be available for people who are Bitcoin journeymen and for people who are living in the future community, which we had some pretty exciting stuff happen last night within that community, through my eyes anyways. It's fun to see things come to life. So if you're interested in that, if you want, there's Arnie in the yard. I had to take him for an early walk this morning because of the trip today. There he is. Used to seeing Arnie behind us, but he's in the yard today. He's ahead of us today. So like I said, if you're interested in that, that's kind of going to be the main focus tomorrow. It'll probably be a longer show because I'll have to take some time for the cold card stuff, and then we'll open it up for questions. And if you have any other questions that are burning in the back of your mind right now, that'll be a great place for that. So in the meantime, you can join through the channel. You just go to join, $3 a month. You'll be included in that tomorrow. Or what I'm about to talk about here for the part of the show today is the living in the future. So there you go. Check email, bro. Which email? 88 sats. That thing's been such a headache for me in terms of things going to spam, emails getting missed. I don't know what the play is. I really don't want to go the Gmail route. I love Proton. I actually got access to the Proton Bitcoin wallet today. I haven't checked it out yet, but I noticed that they don't have Lightning on it yet. So I don't know how useful that's going to be to anybody, really. Johnny's here. Morning, Johnny. Rock and roll. Rock and roll. Timber Crasher, one of our journeymen. Yeah, we're early this morning. We got a big day today, so we had to get here. Proton mail. All right. When did you send it? Just today? Because I didn't see anything in there last night. Scarpelli. Great name. Scarpelli Productions. And I see Johnny says, nice shirt. I have one. Johnny's got a couple shirts from Eric's company, juxtapose.store. So you can grab one of these, grab yourself this one, get yourself a BTC as King one for very reasonably priced. Very reasonable prices or very reasonably priced. Scarpelli says, just tried out Aqua Wallet this morning, hoping to find places to use it. It sounds like from what I've heard mixed things on it. I know Rock and Roll loves the Aqua Wallet. I think it's very useful for moving Bitcoin off of the exchange, free withdrawal using Liquid into your Aqua Wallet. And then once you build up a bit of a balance in there, that's when you can convert it back to Bitcoin. But from what I've heard, the fees are also very high. So just be careful. If you're new to Aqua, just be careful. You don't want to be wasting sats. I think I've wasted enough sats in my journey so far. Too many sats have been wasted just by trying to do things too fast, trying to do things before I know what I'm actually doing. And before I understand, honestly, I spent the first 1 or 2 years in Bitcoin, not even knowing what a Bitcoin transaction fee is. The only time I would use it would be to move Bitcoin off of Binance. And they charged a pretty sizable fee on that I had no idea that I was even paying there. And I never sent a Bitcoin transaction other than Exodus or Binance, and they kind of just cover the fees for you. So that's going to be another part of the show tomorrow. If you're somebody who's new to Bitcoin, I just think that even if you're not using a cold card, I think that tomorrow's show that we're going to do, the private show, is going to be very beneficial in terms of just learning the whole process of everything. It's important. It's important. AD. Big shout out to AD. Well, we'll put that on the back burner for just 1 sec, but shout out to AD. Diego, onboard people into Bitcoin, life mission. Make it your mission to open people's minds and then let them decide where to go. Once people's minds are open, there's only one option. Actually, let's start with that one today because I love this video from Jack. It's about 2 minutes long, but he talks about gold. He talks about the stock market, and he talks about energy, oil, and Bitcoin, of course. But I thought this was very useful, and consider this. I mean, I'm never going to tell you what to do, but consider sharing this with anybody that you know who happens to be like a financial advisor or somebody who has 100% or very close to 100% of their wealth in the stock market. Because as Jack is about to explain here, they think that they're up a lot in the stock market, but in reality, in real terms, in energy terms, they're actually down significantly. So here we go. Here's Jack, one of our favorite guys.
I made this chart this morning because what I think is happening is really what we want to measure is your purchasing power in energy terms. And so I like oil. And so this is the SPXTR. So the S&P total returns. That's what this is. So the S&P total returns, what I'm showing for those listening, since 2020, the SPX total returns is 83.59%. So since 2020, you're up 83.59% in the SPX total returns. Now, if you measure SPXTR against gold, so that's XPXTR over USD. So in dollar terms, it's up 83.59%. Is it up in gold? What's SPXTR over gold? 14.52%. Okay, so you're still up. So for all the gold bugs, you're better off owning the S&P than gold since 2020. Now, are you up in oil terms, which I think is energy terms? Energy is the foundation of society. It's how we do shit. No, the S&P total returns against oil is down 71.97%. What is the only...
All right, just quickly on this, for anybody who's watching this on the screen in video format, you can see here at the top, this is the stock market, the total return. That's the purple. This one here, the pink one, is gold. Sorry, the top one's blue. This one's purple at the bottom here. This one's oil. And then the yellow one here is Bitcoin. I couldn't even see that on my phone really this morning. So I wanted to point that out for anybody watching.
thing that's S&P is down worse than oil, Bitcoin, but not by much. Bitcoin 74%. That's so what I think we're seeing is like the dollar and the treasury market in oil terms isn't keeping up. And so people are rotating out of treasuries, out of bonds into, we talk about harder assets, fixed supply assets, but at the end of the day, it's assets that can protect your purchasing power in energy terms. And so this, to me, this is insane because there are people like our friends that are like, yeah, my stock portfolio is booming. I'm up 80% since 2020. Yeah, you're up 80% in dollar terms. How much in gold terms are you up? Oh, I'm up 14%. Well, how much in Bitcoin terms are you up? You're not up. You're down 75%. So you've lost 75% of the ability to buy Bitcoin by sitting in the S&P 500.
Honestly, that's pretty eye-opening. And I think that the other part of that too is even if you sent that to somebody who's investing in the stock market, even if they don't really know what the hell they're doing, if you sent that to somebody, they would not understand what that means, which is unfortunate because I think that the one thing that well, I shouldn't say one thing, but one of the things that Bitcoin taught me is that the fiat price is completely irrelevant. I mean, it's a good measuring stick to a degree, but at the same time, when you have something that you're trying to value everything against, and you don't know how many of those things exist, the denominator, when that number is unknown, the bottom number is unknown, it's impossible to value anything. And we do our best in terms of measuring against other things, but for the most part, it's impossible to measure anything accurately against fiat because we don't know how much is out there. Think about how many dollars on this earth are floating out there that we've lost track of, or they've been burned, stolen, lost, whatever that is. And that's just the physical cash. Imagine the amount of zeros that have been added without us even knowing about it. So we don't know what that denominator is. So it's impossible to measure anything. But when you look at it compared to gold, compared to oil, compared to Bitcoin, hard assets, then it's very eye-opening. And there's a lot of countries who are well aware of this, the fact that the fiat dollar is going down and down and down. And that's why they would rather store their reserves in the ground, in oil, in potash, in corn even, silver, gold, whatever that is. It's things in the ground are better than fiat money because they're real, they're worth something, they're hard, scarce. So that was very surprising to me. I honestly thought that Bitcoin would be a little bit higher than that, but at the same time, you think that you're up 80% in the stock market, but in reality you're down 70%. That's a tough pill for people to swallow. So shout out to Jack for that one. All right, let's check on this Zap stream here. What's going on over there? Not too much this morning. Where's all this? I didn't post anything on Nostr. Guess I should have, but anyways, if you're in the Zaps, say hi. For the love of God. King of wasting sats. Yeah, that's me too. Wasted so many sats on stupid shit. Not like buying things, but just like not knowing what I'm doing. It's amazing if you, even the people who think that they're, Bitcoiners that have Bitcoin, maybe they own some Bitcoin on their ShakePay account, or even if they have some in cold storage. I think the amount of stuff that they don't know and what's the potential issues coming down the road for them, whether that's through UTXOs, transaction fees, anything like that, firmware updates, which isn't a huge, it's important, but people just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. But that's why we're doing the show. Morning, Django. Here's a good question from Faisal. Isn't it better if we buy Bitcoin during bear market? I've been buying $10 every day for the past 2 months, and the average is not so good. What I would suggest to you, and you have to be very careful with that too. If you're buying $10 a day, hopefully you're leaving that on the exchange until you want to make a bigger withdrawal. Because if you're taking $10 a day and moving that into cold storage, that's going to be absolute hell for you. And let that be a kind of a warning to anybody out there who uses the DCA method with whatever exchange. But if you're DCAing and you're actually moving that into your cold storage wallet, or any wallet for that matter, you're creating UTXO hell. That's what that's going to be, because every time you move Bitcoin from the exchange to your wallet, that's one UTXO. And when you go to spend that Bitcoin and it wants to group all those UTXOs together, that's a fat transaction full of a lot of data. And there's only so much data available in each block. So you're going to have to pay a lot of money to be included in that block and spend your Bitcoin. So what I would say though here is check out a video on my channel here. We just did it like 1 or 2 weeks ago. It should be fairly fresh in there. But if you go to my channel and you go to videos, and you find a video called, I think it's a new strategy for buying Bitcoin, but I'll just double check that so I don't give you misinformation. But it's exactly what we talked about here in terms of the lump sum, then dollar cost averaging for a while just to learn about it and familiarize yourself with Bitcoin. And then over time, you kind of transition to mostly smash buys, which is what you're talking about here, buying Bitcoin during bear markets, or even like a flash crash. If there's bad news in the Bitcoin market, that's when you take your cash that you've been saving and dump it into Bitcoin. All right, let me just find this here quickly. August 6th, holy. All right, where is this? I didn't think this was this long ago. We do a lot of videos on here. A roadmap? No, that's not it. A new approach to buying Bitcoin. Here it is. And I'll put the link in the zap.stream. So here's what I'm going to tell you, Faisal. Just click zap.stream right now. Exit YouTube or get a new browser, go to zap.stream, find the show that we're talking about here. And in the chat there, you'll be able to see the link I just shared with you, or just go to the channel and find it, one of the two. But it is called, as I mentioned, a new approach to buying Bitcoin. It's exactly what we talked about there. So I don't need to reiterate it today. Kirby, good morning. Fine times. Yeah. He doesn't get it. That's the thing. So AD said I sent that to my accountant friend. He doesn't get it. As an accountant, I know how accountants' brains work. Not a whole lot of willingness to try new things or take a bit of risk or open your mind up a little bit. There's a few. Obviously, I mean, I was part of that industry and I made it out. But for the most part, I'd say that 98% of accountants are stuck in their ways, stuck in the system. It's like a doctor for the most part. We put all our trust in doctors. We think that we go to the hospital, they're going to fix us with the best ability that they know, the best option. And with things like the pandemic, it's like, how could doctors not understand what's happening here? How do they not see issues with this? Why are they telling people to do this when they clearly know that it shouldn't be happening? How does that happen? But you have to understand that accountants, doctors, every trade like that or every industry like that have been trained by the system. Who sponsors the university halls? You look at a classroom in a university, it would be Monsanto Hall. Okay, so why did Monsanto get a room named after them? Well, because they have given the university millions of dollars and decide what goes in the curriculum. That's how schools work. So you have to understand that both accountants, doctors, anybody like that, they've been trained by the system. That's what they know. That's what their window is, just what they've been taught. So I think that, people who haven't gone to college or university are actually in a much better place than people who have, because they haven't been through the brainwash system. Oh, Canada, oh, Bitcoin. Heck yeah. Okay, so let's, the one thing I did want to talk about today here is the Bitcoin can be a very lonely place, very lonely. And I wanted to give a shout out to AD because what we did yesterday. So for the last couple months, we've had people joining in the Living in the Future community. And so we had our main chat, Living in the Future, and we also had a secondary chat called Sat Signal. And both those were on Signal. There was no real overlap. There was a couple people in both. But for the most part, they were completely independent of each other. And there was just such information in both chats. And I wanted to merge the two. And the reason that we set up a secondary chat, because we just didn't want too many people in there, right? So what we've done, what AD has built, he actually built a very beautiful Discord channel. And I was going to show it on here, but I don't think it's worth showing just for people's privacy. But I got it loaded up here. But the nice thing about this is with Signal, it was more of a chat. It was an ever-flowing chat. And if you missed a day or two, you'd be 300 messages behind. And you'd miss a bunch of stuff in that. With the Discord now that we have set up, we have announcements, we have links, we have Nostr Connect. So everybody's posted their NPub in there. We have walled setups. We have places where we can do voice chats if we want to, or just quick calls. Introductions where people can kind of give a bit of background on themselves so people can connect with them. Business stuff, memes, feedback, Bitcoin help, need help right now. And it looks like we've had about 20 people join in there already since last night. So as a Bitcoiner, I had a very hard time getting into it. I really did, because I didn't know anybody in real life that was into Bitcoin, and I didn't know anybody in virtual life that was into Bitcoin. Obviously, in 4 years, you make some connections, you build your network up, and it's blossomed into this, what we have here. But for the most part, if you're just getting into Bitcoin, it's a not only very overwhelming, but very lonely place. You feel like you have all this knowledge, you're learning all this stuff, and you have really nobody to bounce ideas off of and ask questions to, share resources with, and get resources from. So that's why this Living in the Future community was created. And so it's been doing very well. I'm very excited about this Discord. I think it's going to be a game changer within the community here. But I started thinking about it a little bit more, and I got a couple things to talk about here, so I'll try not to forget that I missed already. Because oh my God, it's already 8:11. Okay. So I don't know if I have time to explain this or not, but I started thinking about this last night, and I started thinking about how communities now, with the way we're going, just to give a bit of context here, I really believe that within the next decade, we're going to make a shift from the 9 to 5, everybody going to work, having a boss, having a manager, supervisor. We're going to shift away from that, because a lot of that work is going to be very redundant and be able to be done by AI stuff. So the whole corporate structure that we've known is going to be flipped on its head by Bitcoin and AI and everything that's being built right now. So I think we're going to move away from that 9 to 5 corporate structure. And I think that everybody's kind of going to be their own boss. The one person companies are going to form. And so I was thinking about it in terms of a community and a company. And I think that communities are actually going to be the new version of companies, except everybody's kind of working independently, helping each other. Because what's going to happen here, I think, as this whole thing evolves, I think that, you sign up for this. Let's say that you have this skill. Let's say that you pan for gold. That's what you do. That's your business. That's your one person business. But then within your network, you have somebody who does graphic design or builds websites or does email marketing or is an expert on Nostr. And so you connect with them through this community. You connect with them and maybe you start a joint venture where you get the gold, they do the selling, and you split the profits. Because think about in your own life, in your own network that you have right now, how many people would you be able to go and talk to and join forces with to come up with a new business venture that you're very excited about? How many people would you feel comfortable reaching out to and wouldn't look at you like you had three or four heads? But within this community, there's going to be people who are looking for this, who are wanting to start their own ventures and build. And that's what we're going to make these connections with. And even think about like a company right now. Think about, and I just think back to my days when I was an accountant. And we had the brand. We had the brand of our accounting firm. But then everybody was kind of just employees there. They were doing work, they were doing jobs, which will eventually be replaced by AI for the most part. But they weren't out there. They weren't expanding their networks. They weren't trying to find new clients because they were just doing accounting work. So instead of actually tapping into everybody's network, they just kind of did work for the network, if that makes any sense. Where how I see this going is you're going to have these communities, the new version of companies in the economy that we're moving into, where everybody utilizes each other's networks. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you're somebody who's a 9-to-5 person right now. You're looking to get out of your job. You're looking to start building your own business, selling a product or service online with Bitcoin or fiat. But instead of having to, how can I word this? My brain's drawn a bit of a blank right now because I'm supposed to be logging off here in 1 minute. But with the community, like how I see this playing out is instead of the company owning that network with where we're going to here, everybody will have their own network. And so you join and you put in your nostr public key into there. And all of a sudden, instead of starting off with like 1 follower or 2 followers, you start with 40 or 50 or 60 or more, depending on how this thing grows. But that's a very significant boost. And then you make a post of what you do. And then you have 100 people sharing that to the network. Like that's very powerful to me. And I think that that's where we're all going here. So I think that if that sounds interesting to you or it makes sense to you, and this is something you want to be involved in, then consider joining today. Because we are very early in it. And I was thinking about this the other day too. It's like we've only been doing this for 6 months, right? And there's been people in there for 6 months since day one who have been part of the Living in the Future community. They've seen this whole thing evolve, the different things that have come from it. And over those 6 months, at $5 a month, they've spent $30 on it. It feels like we've been doing it forever. But overall, they spent $30 being part of this. And I'm sure if you took a poll of a sample size of the people within that, they'd say that it's probably worth $30. I can't even go to Subway anymore and get a fucking foot-long sandwich and a drink and a cookie for $30. So just everything's relative, of course, but just consider that. So if this is something that's interesting to you, whether you're in a lonely spot, you want people to talk to you about Bitcoin, or you actually want to grow, start a business, connect with other people, grow that, and start different ventures with each other. That's what this is going to turn into. And it already kind of has. There's been a few things that have been spawned within that community so far. And I had more to say, but unfortunately, I'm on the clock today. I'm already 1 minute late here, 2 minutes late now, officially. But yeah, that's it. So what I'll leave you with here is consider that. consider checking out the Living in the Future. You can go to the show notes. You can click Living in the Future. You can check things out on there. Do the $5 one. That's your best value there, the visionary one. We're going to have a couple more tiers coming, but I think that's the best place to start. So with that, you're going to get every show full, uninterrupted. You're going to get the private Q&As. You're going to get the Signal chat, and you're going to get the Discord channel now. For $5 a month, $30 for 6 months. If you're serious about this, that's what I'd say. And tomorrow's going to be the private Q&A. We're going to be talking about some cold card stuff, as mentioned. So if you're interested in that and you missed the first part of the show, go back and listen to what I said about what we're planning for tomorrow's show and the cold cards. And I did want to give a quick couple shout outs here before we go, because I see some people in the chat here. The first shout out I wanted to give was to Ingo. Ingo sent 10,000 sats to the King Golf at Wallet of Satoshi wallet, 10,000 sats, and said, "Greetings from Germany. Thank you for your work." Thank you for the sats. 10,000 sat zap. That's pretty impressive. And I mentioned yesterday, I did a challenge for people I wanted to get people on Fountain, earning free Bitcoin every day, non-KYC Bitcoin even every day. And I said, all you have to do, go onto Fountain, find yesterday's show, which was titled Lessons from the Last Bull Run, leave a boost on there, and you're going to be entered in for the draw. So we'll give it a couple days for people to watch and listen on Fountain, be part of this. But we've already had 3 or 4 people with some pretty sizable zaps on there who are part of the draw here. We had Jer, boosted 5,000 sats. V for V, I appreciate you. Thank you for that. User 1051147 boosted 5,000 sats as well and said, "How do we change our names on here?" I think you just go to your profile at the top. There should be a little icon that looks like a face. If you go to that, I'm pretty sure you could change your username on there. Silver Fox Duncan boosted 1,000 sats, said, "Great show, Joris. Sorry I couldn't be there." And Akil, who I see in the chat here, boosted 1,000 sats. So those are the people who are in the challenge, in the draw right now. And the winner of that, we're going to do the draw in a couple days, maybe on Friday or next week. But they're going to get a nice handwritten note and quote sent to their house from this desk. So I thought it was something cool. I'm a big fan of handwriting stuff. I think everybody's so digital now, emails, texting. I think that there's a real lost art of handwritten stuff. So the winner of that is going to get a nice handwritten note and a handwritten quote if you want to hang it up on the wall. So pretty cool, I think, anyways. All right, we're 5 minutes overboard. I'm sure I'm going to get a knock on the door here right away. But anyways, thanks for being here. Consider joining if you haven't. It's not just to support the channel. This is for you. Whatever goals you have within Bitcoin, whatever you want to go to in terms of your career, your skill set, this is the best way to do it. I think it's really going to give you a big boost. That's what I was talking about with the nostr stuff. Imagine having 100 people in your corner, telling people about what you do, sharing your posts, and just having people to talk to Bitcoin about and build with and grow with and build those connections that you wouldn't otherwise find. So consider that. Akil says, just learned about UTXO and have managed to consolidate using Sparrow. Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow on the show, in the private show. I feel sorry. We'll look at a couple more here and then I'm out of here. But Matthias says, one of the hardest things for me was admitting that I had been wrong about Bitcoin for years. Since the end of 2022, I have been 90% in Bitcoin and feel relieved. Greetings from Austria. Wow. Oh my God. I didn't even see any of these chats or things in Zap.stream. None of them showed up until now. So anyways, thank you for the comment, Matthias. Appreciate it. And glad you're here now. Doesn't matter. Don't have any regrets in Bitcoin. Just be glad that you're here now. Muslim Bitcoiner says, I'm loving the consolidation. Flat as a pancake. In other news, I'm the only Bitcoiner in my area. Only online is where I can connect with anyone. Yeah, that's exactly why we built this thing. JJ from Texas, good morning. And Rick, my man, did Rick smash the like yet? That's what Ahsoka said over in Zap.stream. Has everybody smashed the like? More importantly, have you zapped today? See a couple people up. My Path to Fire zapped to Hundo. My Path to Fire zapped 21. And Akil zapped 121. So thank you for those this morning, everybody. And let's end with this. Bitcoin has been boring lately. That's summer. We're in the summer lull right now. It's not going to be boring for very much longer. So this is the boring times. This is when you want to be getting your security process in place. This is when you want to be joining communities and gaining connections, because at the end of the day, this whole thing has nothing to do with Bitcoin itself. The whole idea here, the whole goal of what we're doing here is to get out of fiat, because fiat has been the most evil, destructive thing to happen in the history of the world. And if people only knew how much damage the fiat dollar was causing to every aspect of your life, then you'd understand why we're moving towards this. So the faster you can exit the system, the better. And Bitcoin just happens to be the best option there. But the main goal here is to get out of fiat. And the faster, the quicker you can grow your Bitcoin network with things like living in the future, the faster you can exit. Because you're going to find people who are selling what you want to buy. And instead of having to go through the fiat rails, you're going to be able to just connect directly to them, peer to peer. And people always ask, where can I get non-KYC Bitcoin? Like it's this big trick. Join a community, join Living the Future. I bought and sold Bitcoin with other people, non-KYC, plenty of times in the community. Not plenty, but several times. You buy, you sell. There's always people looking to buy and sell. And that's no KYC, peer to peer. I send an e-transfer. They don't know what I'm sending an e-transfer for. It could be golf tournament proceeds. Just don't include Bitcoin in there, and that's non-KYC Bitcoin. So you want a network, you want to grow that network as fast as you can, and you want to leave fiat as fast as you can. So consider joining Living in the Future. I want to see like 20 new members there today when I get back from the trip, because it's worth it. If you want to get to your goal wherever you're going to, this is the best way, the most accelerated way to do it. You can pussyfoot around for a while, try to meet new people on Twitter, on Nostr. But if you want to really give yourself a jump start and a boost and take this stuff seriously, then Living in the Future. And you know that I don't sell this a lot on here, but I think it's very important. And we have everything in place now, including the Discord, which really pushed things over the edge. And I think that you should consider it. All right. Well, have yourselves a great day. I'm sorry it was a short show today, but it's better than nothing, I think. So I apologize for the ignoring some comments here today. And Chico in the van says, if you're bored, you're not bullish enough. Exactly. So have yourselves a great day. And we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye. Darko, sorry. I just saw this. Telegram, no. We have Signal. We have Discord, and it's one heck of a community there. So check out show notes, Living in the Future, the $5 visionary tier, and we'll see you tomorrow.